What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Mets Central. This is Mets Fan Interaction, Game 127, where the New York Mets defeat the Baltimore Orioles by a score of 4-3. Before we get into the post-game recap, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe as well. We greatly appreciate your guys' support on the channel, and we want to keep feeding you guys content throughout the rest of the season. Also, make sure to turn on post notifications to let you know anytime we upload a video or go live on the channel. But yeah, now getting into the post-game. What a win. What a win. And what a series win as well. Obviously, in this series, the Mets take 2 out of 3 against the Orioles, and both wins come with walk-off home runs. Francisco Alvarez on Monday, which it was a much-needed home run for him to hit, and today Jesse Winker, who hasn't hit a home run, who before this game hadn't hit a home run for the Mets, and the first one he hit was a walk-off home run today. So yeah, look, he desperately needed that because he exactly hasn't lit the world on fire since coming to the Mets. He's had a couple solid games here and there, but majority of his hits have been singles. Not a lot of extra base hits, but hopefully that walk-off home run just sparks him and we start to see another level of Jesse Winker that we haven't seen yet. But I mean, look, the story of this game. I mean, look, obviously the walk-off home run from Winker was big, but the story of this game, and I was in the building for today's game, and it was just electric because Sean and I today was excellent. I mean, this guy he was working with a perfect game for 5 2/3 of this game. He was excellent, and it was just we'll get into it as we break down the game. He just got a little bit unlucky, and it sucked. It sucked how the perfect game and the no hitter duo it ended as well. But listen, the Mets won. That's all I care about in the end. As long as the Mets win, I don't care. I mean, listen, I do care how it happens because obviously you want to win games in the right way and not barely scrape out wins. But right now, this Mets team just needs wins. And listen, doesn't it piss you guys off how the Mets can lose a series 2 out of 3 to the A's, lose a series 2 out of 3 to the Angels, but then come up against one of the best teams in the MLB against the Baltimore Orioles, a team that has a stacked lineup, and they could beat them 2 out of 3 times. It just doesn't make any sense how this team can play well against really good teams and then play down to the competition of the bad teams. It doesn't make any sense, and it drives all us Mets fans crazy. But it is what it is. We have to deal with it. But yeah, just getting back to Sean and I mean, today what was really working well for him today was his sinker. He was using his sinker a lot today, especially early on in the game. He got he got ahead of count. He got ahead of guys a lot for the count with that sinker, and then he sprinkled in his fastball and his sweeper occasionally. Anytime to get a much needed ground ball or a strikeout. But yeah, I mean the guy was excellent. 0 walks as well, which is big. 7 innings pitched, so another a start where a Mets starting pitcher gives you length. All good things that you like to see. But anyway, guys, let's get into the actual post game recap. Obviously, Shaman and I was on the mound for the Mets, and Cole Irvin was on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles. Starting off with the game, Austin Slater was leading off with the Baltimore Orioles. He would fly out sharply to Starling Marte and right. Ali Rushman would ground out to Francisco Lindor, and Gunnar Henderson would fly out to Starling Marte and right to end the inning. Bottom of the first, Francisco Lindor would lead off. He would hit a single to the third base side. Mark Fiennes would then strike out. JD Martinez would strike out. And then Brandon Nimmo would hit into a force out to end the inning. Top of the second, quick 1-2 inning for Shamanai. He would get Anthony Santander to be called out on strikes. Ryan Mountcastle would ground out to Jose Iglesias at second. And Eloy Jimenez would ground out to Lindor at short. Bottom of the second, Pete Alonso would walk. He would get on first base. Then a big boneheaded mistake here by Pete Alonso, and this is a mistake you cannot make. So Starling Marte hits a single into left field, and it doesn't go, it doesn't go deep. It doesn't go past Austin Slater and left. It falls right in front of him, and it should be first and second set up for the Mets with nobody out. But Pete, for some reason, decides to try to extend it to third base, and his big ass was not getting to third base. I don't care. I don't care. I don't know what he was thinking. I just don't understand. That's a bad mistake. That cannot happen. At least Marte, though, would make it to second, but that's just a boneheaded mistake by Pete. That cannot happen on the base pass. Jose Iglesias would fly out to Anthony Santander on right. Luis Torrens would then walk, so first and second for the Mets with 2 outs. Couldn't drive him in, though, as Harrison Bader would ground into a force out to end the inning. Top of the third, Colton Hauser would strike out. Ramon Urias would strike out. I mean, he'd be called out on strikes, and then Jackson Holiday would strike out swinging. Then bottom of the third, Lindor leading off, and he would hit a home run into right field. So Lindor continue his hot streak as he puts the Mets up 1-0. Mark Vientos would then ground out to Gunnar Henderson. JD Martinez would fly out to Anthony Santander on right, and Brandon Nimmo would pop out to Ryan Mountcastle at first base. Then top of the fourth, Austin Slater would strike out swinging. Adley Rushman would line out to Harrison Bader in center, and Gunnar Henderson would strike out swinging. Bottom of the fourth, Pete Alonso would pop out to Ryan Mountcastle at first. Marte would then line out to Ramon Urias at third base. Jose Iglesias would hit a single, but Mets couldn't drive him in as Luis Torrens would pop out to Mountcastle to end the inning. Top of the fifth, quick 1-2-3 inning again for Sean Manaea. He'd get Anthony Santander to strike out on a foul tip. Ryan Mountcastle would then ground out to Pete. Eloy Jimenez would then ground out to Jose Iglesias to end the inning. Bottom of the fifth, Harrison Bader would lead off. He would be hit by a pitch. Francisco Lindor would then pop out to Jackson Holiday at second base. Vientos would then hit a single. So first, and Harrison Bader would move over to third. So first and third for the Mets with one out. But the Orioles make a pitching change as Colin Selby replaces Cole Irvin. Then JD Martinez grounds into a force out. So Harrison Bader comes in to score to put the Mets up 2-0. Brandon will then walk. Pete Alonso would then walk to set up the bases loaded. But Mets couldn't drive him in, though. I mean, Marte couldn't drive him in, though, as he would strike out swinging. And this was another frustrating thing for the Mets. They had plenty of opportunities to get to drive runners in, but again, like we've been seeing, like so far in the second half, really haven't been able to get that big hit in majority of the games. And then also, it doesn't help when you have guys making dumb base running decisions like what P did in the second inning. But moving on, top of the sixth, Colin Cowser would strike out. Ramon Urias would then ground out to Mark Jones at third. So it looked like Sean Manaea would get through a sixth inning still perfect, and he would get so Jackson Holiday would come up. He would get the count to 2-2, and I was in the building, and Citi Field was getting loud because it's like one more hit. One more pitch. Get through six perfect, but unfortunately he would hit Jackson Holiday, which would end the perfect game bid. Still had the no-hitter bid going, but that wouldn't happen as next batter, Austin Slater comes up, and he would hit a home run to right field to tie the game up 2-2. Then Adley Rushman ground out the ending, and that was the most frustrating thing with this game. It's like, listen, that happens. Like, it sucks that the game unraveled like that quick, or it sucks that the perfect game and no hitter unraveled that quickly. But it just sucks that the Mets couldn't put up any more runs before that, because it's like Manaea's pitching a great game right there, and you're like, two mistakes, and then now it's a tie ball game. It's like, you kind of feel bad for him, but thankfully he was able to get out of that inning. Then bottom of the sixth, Jose Iglesias would be hit by a pitch. Luis Torrens would ground to a double play, and Harrison Bader would ground out to Ramon Urias to end the inning. Then top of the seventh, Gunnar Henderson would single. Anthony Santander would then line out to right field. Ryan Mountcastle would then strike out, and Eloy Jimenez would ground out to end the inning. Bottom of the seventh, Craig Kimbrell came in to replace Colin Selby. He would get Lindor to ground out. Then Mark Vientos, who again is continuing his hot tear, hits a home run into center field to put the Mets up 3-2. And another big thing, Mark Vientos already has 20 home runs. 20. Just imagine if he started the year off over here with the Mets. He'd probably be flirting with 30 home runs right now, around there. He definitely would be over 25 by now. But listen, Vientos just has to carry this momentum for the rest of the regular season, and then hopefully next season he just continues to build off this, because I'm telling you, maybe he could become a guy that hits 35, maybe 40 a year. But listen, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Vientos right now, so he's just got to keep on doing what he's doing. JD Martinez will then line out to Anthony Santander on right. Brandon Nimmo will then line out to Austin Slater in left to end the inning. Top of the eighth, so Sean Manaea will come back out to start this inning, and Colton Cowser will lead off. He would hit a single. So after that, Manaea will come out of the game. Jose Budo will come in to replace him. And this is actually the usage of Budo. See, this is usage I agree with, because it's a close game and you need Budo to come in and get big outs for you. This is the type of usage I want to see the Mets start to use Jose Budo in. So, like I said, Budo comes in. Then an unfortunate play here, because So, like I mentioned before, Colin Cowser was on first, right? So Budo would get the count to 3-2 to Ramon Urias. So Colin Cowser leaves first base to try to steal second. Budo makes the pitch, and I don't know what the umpire was smoking here, or I don't know what he was looking at, because Jose Budo threw a pitch right in the strike zone, and he called it ball 4. And it also sucks because Luis Torrens made a nice throw over to second base to get Colin Cowser to, pick off Colin Cowser from stealing second. So it really should have been a strike him out, throw him out, double play. But the like I said, I don't know what he was smoking, because that should have been strike 3. So, instead of now 2 outs and nobody on, it now turns into first and second with nobody out. Huge difference. And then we would see Budo, he would walk Jackson Holiday to load up the bases. Ryan O'Hearn would come in to replace Austin Slater as a pinch hitter. He would get Ryan O'Hearn to strike out swinging. Then he would be ejected. Ali Rushman would then hit a sacrifice fly to bring in Ramon Urias, so the Orioles would tie it up at 3. And then Budo makes a big pitch, gets Gunnar Henderson to pop out to Mark Fields at 3rd. So thankfully, Budo does get out of the inning. But listen, that one strike call could have totally just changed that inning, because like I said before, if that's a strikeout and that stands as a strike, I'm out throwing out a double play, 2 outs and nobody on is a totally different situation than first and second and nobody out. But listen, it is what it is. But going back to Reed Manahe's line, 7 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 9 Ks, 1 home run. His ERA is up at 3.48. And look, it's pretty obvious that Sean Manaea is going to opt out of his contract, because he has a player option going into the offseason. So it's pretty obvious that he's going to opt out and look for a new contract in free agency this offseason. But I'm telling you right now, if he can come back on an affordable contract, that is one guy I would love to see the Mets bring back. Solid lefty, could come in as your 3 or 4 starter, and if he's going to give you production like this, then listen, you take that all day. But listen, obviously, we still got to finish the season, but let's see what happens in free agency in the offseason. But like I said, Manaea is a guy I would love for the Mets to bring back. Then bottom of the 8th, Pete Alonso would lead off the inning with a single. Starling Marte would then strike out. Jose Iglesias would hit into a force out, and it would be a double play, but the Mets would challenge, and he was safe at first base. Then a pitching change as Sir Anthony Dominguez came in to replace Perez. Francisco Alvarez would then come in to replace at the pinch hit for Luis Torrens. He would strike out the end of the inning. So moving on to the top of the 9th, Alvarez would come in to replace. He would remain in the game at catcher. Edwin Diaz would come in to replace Jose Budo on a nice, easy 1-2-3 for Edwin Diaz. That he would get Anthony Santander to strike out, Ryan Mountcastle would strike out, and Eloy Jimenez would line out to Brandon Nimmo in left field. And then bottom of the 9th, the hero, the man of the game right here, Jesse Winker will come in to pinch it for Harrison Bader, and he would get down in the count 0-2. He would work it way. He would work the count back in his favor to 3-2, and then a fastball down and away, and Winker would hit it into center field to win the game for the Mets. And yeah, and then also you gotta love his celebration and his post game interview with Steve Gelbs on the Citi Field field after the game. He was just hyped up, and it definitely hyped up Mets fans all around, because that building was rocking after he hit that walk off home run. But yeah, look, it's a big game. It's a big game for the Mets to win right there. A big series win as well. Sorry. Now, obviously, they head out to the West Coast. They have a 4-game series with the San Diego Padres, a 3-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and a 3-game series with the Chicago White Sox. So, look, with this upcoming 10-game road trip, for me, look, if the Mets could find a way to split in San Diego, win that Diamondback series 2-1, and then sweep the White Sox to go 7-3 on that road trip, I'd take that all day. I would take that all day, and I think that's what the Mets have to do. But Sevy's on the mound for the Mets tomorrow in San Diego. Pretty sure it's a 9:40 game. We don't know yet who the Padres will be throwing out there to pitch. But anyway, guys, that was post-game recap. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said before, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe as well. Also, turn on post notifications. And yeah, that's going to be it. Peace out, baby. Let's go Mets.